Schwabble, double, glibber, glabber, schwibble, schwab, glab. Dibble, double, shwibble, shwabble, glibber, glab, schwab. Schwabble, double, glibber, glabber, schwibble, schwab, dab. Dibble, double, shwibble, shwabble, glibber, schwab, glab. Ooh,
Today I'm reviewing Replicator issues 1, 2, and 3, written by Robert Arnold, featuring many different artists. I got this through Indiegogo, paid roughly $44 American for all 3 issues. Shipping, I don't know, it's an Australian, it says 28. I don't know, whatever that is in American. So I backed just these 3 basic issues, and it came with some perks. Right here, we got a sticker. These 4 smaller prints. So these are just the same picture, but one is warm colors and one is cool. This thing, and that. And the larger ones, one came colored, and then the rest are line art. This one's actually just the line art of this picture. And then these 2, I thought this was cool to include some line art ones because, I don't know, I kind of find that a little more interesting sometimes instead of just getting all finished stuff. It also came with on the back of the package itself, this really cool like wax logo thing. I try to remove it because it was cool. I want to keep it, but it like just breaks apart. All right, issue 1. So the driving force of the story is there is a plague called the Red Death, and that's what sets up humanity to create 2 classes, basically. One that lives in this walled area called Sanctuary, and then everyone else that sucks and wasn't privileged or whatever have to live outside. I don't know if there's a name for the outside area, but that's kind of like the initial setup there. So one of the issues I had was the plague itself, the Red Death, I feel was never very well defined. Like, what exactly is it doing? It's deadly. Okay, you die. Okay, that's fine. But like as soon as we move over to here, this dude gets a call and he arrives on a scene because people try to sneak into Sanctuary. I guess there's like a lot of tunnels and stuff. So if you want to like live in the better area, people are trying to sneak in. So these people were caught and they're talking to them and stuff. And these soldiers, the Chosen, I believe, they find out they're lying or something and go to kill them. So there's a very deadly virus, and like it seems you could kind of casually hang around people that could be infected and not worry about it. Okay. I mean, if that's how it goes, that's fine, but I wish that was kind of explained because like if they could potentially have this thing, and this dude's like right up by each other and then blood also. So it's, they really have it. Like it's highly likely you might have caught it when the blood is splashing on your face. I mean, again, maybe it's not spread that way, but I feel like it's not well defined. Also, if the city does have all of these tunnels everywhere, like no one's ever successfully snuck in. So if it is spread through coughing, let's just choose a random thing that could possibly happen. Yeah, if someone randomly snuck in and they had it and coughed and got one other person sick, I mean, now it could spread very quickly, and now everyone in Sanctuary would have it. I don't know how they're getting away with no one ever catching this thing. So then the dude, he also answers the phone, and he says, "Hey, baby," and I guess this is, well, it is his wife because he meets her later on. And I feel like just "Hey, baby" was also slightly confusing. He could have said, like, "Hi, Sarah," because her name is Sarah, and we meet her later. So it's one of those things where, because he meets her at this party and they, have like a little bit of dialogue between each other, but then they get into a car accident and she gets taken away. So within this one issue, this dude talks to his wife like 3 panels or 1 page or something. And now I'm supposed to care that she's missing or taken, whatever. Like he never really interacted with her. So I'm not sure why we couldn't have at least one scene of them together, especially later on. I'll get to that. I think it's issue, I don't remember now. Maybe, yeah, issue 2, where she does something where I'm like, well, like it would have been nice to have seen you learn how to do that. Like, seems like issue 1 could have been a area where they could have set that up. Also, some of the writing it gets better. So I appreciate that. Everything I'm like nitpicking, because I'm going to nitpick like everything. Sorry, Rob. It gets better. So I really appreciated that part where I'm like, oh no, this was awkward or something. Then, or drawn weird or whatever. Then issue 2, I'm like, oh, I didn't even see that again. So that was fixed. Like everything continually progresses. So I like that part. But yeah, like even this, like Sanctuary is so beautiful, so peaceful, so beautiful. Okay. Just seems somewhat non-descriptive and very, like, I guess this is the main character thinking this in a way. I feel like you could have said something differently. I'm not sure why the captions are down here also. But yeah, it seems like something else could be written there that's a little better. Like it's obviously, like I can't even come up with anything, so harder than it looks, but it felt like almost rudimentary. Like that was a first pass, and then go back through and add, some more interesting dialogue. Because to use the same, like, I don't know if that's descriptor or whatever, but Sanctuary is so peaceful, so beautiful. Usually the word "so" isn't really that important. It's not doing anything in these sentences. You could have wrote Sanctuary is peaceful. Sanctuary is beautiful. Like "so" isn't really adding anything. Again, nitpicking. And also he improves on this. So that I liked. Yeah, there's a fight here, but I mean that's just like standard. Well, I wouldn't say standard. It was cool, but there's just setting things up. But yeah, Sarah invented a cure or whatever for the Red Death. That seems like a really big deal. And I can't remember his name now. Something Jones, because his last name's the same as hers. Ah, damn it. Anyway, sorry. But here he also does this too. He like says his thoughts out loud, which I find really awkward. So he would just say this like randomly at a party with like people standing by. She actually did it. This could change everything. These people have no idea what it's like out there. They don't care. If I was that dude, I'd be like, what? Who are you talking to? Why'd you just say that? Like, I don't know why he's not thinking it. But yeah, like here he's like, she actually did it. It was almost as if he had no clue that she could actually cure this. Like, when did he last see her to when she found out the cure? Was she like never close? Was she 99% of the way there? Because he seems really surprised. He's almost like, she actually did it, almost like condescending a little bit. I mean, it could be positive. Oh, she actually did it. Actually, to me, still sounds a little like he's surprised. So I'm guessing like the last time you saw her, she was like, I'm nowhere close to getting this done. And then next time it's like, oh yeah, I figured out the cure. So they leave the party early. They are traveling home, get in a car accident. She gets kidnapped. Okay, number 2, this one. All of these are drawn by a different person. I might have forgot to say the person of the first one, but this one's Aaron. I remember I didn't want to read them because I don't know how to say any of their names. Sorry, Aaron. So now we pick up. I like this artist much better. Sorry, last guy. So immediately everything was improved to me. The writing is more dense, whereas before it was very sparse and like they're almost saying like a play almost. It felt like oh, I will do this now. Now I will do that. Now here I'm like, now I got more into it because people have more to say to each other. There's more descriptive. It just improved a lot. And then the drawing was also better too. So this guy, yeah, not too much to say about the action scenes. Are not that they're bad; they're actually cool, but I don't really know what to say about them other than it's it's cool and people are fighting. I forget why they were fighting. Sorry, it's been a few days since I read this, so I can't remember all the details at this point. A couple things though, I will point out this one here. So it was really nitpicking, but so this guy fired this bazooka missile thing. I don't know if they're like, if the rockets are the same size or even bigger than the things they fire from, but that might be true. I don't know anything about rocketry. So he fires this, and when I'm reading this, when I initially read this page, I'm like, okay, I'm looking down. Like this is pointing, all of this page is like panel, sorry, it's setting me up to look here. So then I look here, I'm like, there's nothing here. Okay. Oh, actually, it was fired from up here. Like when I read this, I like had to go back through to see exactly what happened. So he fired it from here. It's going from page left to right. Second panel, now it's going from page right to left. Not sure why they did that. So then it comes down to here, and then this panel, I guess, it says rocket intercepted. So I understood what happened, but like all these lights were already very like warm and bright here. And then they blew up the rocket and it's just more. Yeah, unfortunately, I'm using a webcam today, so it's sort of hard to get clear view. But like if you could see here, I guess these are the things that fired to destroy the rocket, but like I'm not sure where they came from. Like everything was already so bright in this area, and this is not really sticking out. I don't know. There's just like parts of the book where I go back to look at the previous panel. But for the most part, everything else is good. Okay, so that last dude, oh man, I'm just going to call everyone dude. It's tough to remember everyone's name. I've read a lot of books in the past few days, so forgive me. So we do get back to the main character. I want to say Stryker or something now, but I don't remember. But the dude from the last one. So we have his buddy, talking to him. And this is a part where I'm like, okay, so another guy comes in because he's like, I want to talk to him alone. And he kind of looks just like him. And then the last dude kind of looked like him. Like everyone just looks the same. Like, why are all these dudes like the same? I guess it's the artist's style, but I don't know. The same strong jaw with like blackish hair. I feel like something could have been done to set these guys apart. But everything else was good here. Like the dialogue, everything that happened, like the pacing, nothing was ever confusing or off at this point. So then we find Sarah here. She was kidnapped. We don't know exactly everything that's happening, but these guys were, I guess, expecting to get money, so someone else is behind it. And then this is where she does that thing I mentioned earlier. Well, it would have been nice to see them spend some time together. So these guys are gonna, I forget, maybe kill her, I think, because they can't get the money or something. And then she like pulls out these like badass moves, and I guess they're gonna ask her, "How did you do that?" I'm not sure why you would like. How did you kick my ass? Please explain. I would like to know. And then she says, "My husband used to work covert ops for Blackgate. Ever since the Red Death, our weekly date night has turned into combat drills and scenarios." Well, that was very convenient. So she got out of that because every night for date night, or weekly, sorry, they just do combat drills. It's very romantic, but it is possible that that happens. But I would have liked to have seen that in the first book, where maybe he's leaving in the morning and she's working on those drills or something, and she says like, "Oh, I'm about to have a breakthrough possibly on the virus soon. I'm working hard at it." And he's like, "Oh yeah, of course. Like look at your form while you're boxing or whatever." Like, great. Yeah, I see you've been practicing what you learned. Yeah, I guess you don't have to set some of those things up, but this just comes out as so much of a surprise where I'm like, what? Where we get this information at? So then they still, I think another dude comes up, or somehow they get her knocked down. And then this is something I feel like when I read it, I went back through to read it again, because very tinily, if I could use that word, it says river corpses here. With comics, I'm reading a lot of them these days, so I'm kind of going at a fairly brisk pace, so I did miss the sign, between the words and then, everything else. So then when I find out that she was dumped into like a river and it's just all like floating bodies, I'm like, wow, it's quite a river. And I looked back and I was like, oh, it did say river corpses. So it is my fault. I did not see that. And also right here, I did see this, but I feel like that could have been a little bigger somewhere else. Maybe they could be saying that. It is slightly odd that they throw her into a river of corpses. So I wasn't really like expecting that, since no one mentioned it. But what it did to me was bring up a question of, why are they doing that? Like, why are you throwing all these bodies into this river? Because if there is some plague like the Red Death, again, I don't know how it's being spread, but let's just say some type of contamination, blood, I don't know, whatever. Like, is this not where you guys get your water supply from? The river? Is it a different source? Because I feel like this is a really bad idea to just throw these bodies in here during a dangerous plague. I mean, maybe they get the water from a different source. They also said they were going to dump her body at night, but it's clearly day. But I think they might. He said we're doing this now, so okay, I take that back. But I do not take back why they're doing it and what could possibly be their water supply, even if it's not their water supply. I don't know. Is it getting like everything else sick nearby? Animals? Are there animals left? And it could also possibly come back to your water supply. And again, like no one has masks on. Not that they need to. I guess none of these people live in sanctuary. But if this thing is that dangerous, like no one seems to care. Okay, issue 3. A different artist on this one as well. So we start out with this other dude. Just have to call everyone dude. I think he was in one of the other issues, and he was like a badass fighter, so we kind of get a lot of that again. Some fighting and stuff. So no need to kind of harp on that. I mean, the fight scene was well done. It was cool. And I do like, I hope they're called the Chosen, but I do like these guys. Dudes with like the skull helmet things. I don't know. They just look intimidating. It's like a cool idea to have. And then he even did explain, because when I was reading, I was like, is that a mask or what the hell's going on? Are they made out of skulls, their heads or something? But you do get to see here that it must be painted on or something. Either way, like we at least get to see that it is people underneath it. So I thought that was nice that it was explained to me. Didn't have to be. It could have just been like a mysterious group, but now I know. Back to this main villain. He's fighting with that guy. He wants to take over or something. Then we go to, now we're going to see the trial of Riker. What did I say? Striker or something? I don't know. I feel like I was close though. So I don't know what the deal with this lady is, but I thought she was like a midget or something at first. It was really weird. Some of the heads in this book, I think in this issue, are just very large. Like this just seems like she might be a midget. I mean, I tried measuring it because I was like, is that what is off? But I mean, the head length seemed okay. I think maybe her body might just be too small, and then her, like, elbow is like bent at like almost the breast level, which is not what happens. Like your elbow is more like towards your navel where it would bend. So maybe that's what's throwing me off. She's tiny upper arm. Again, comics are hard, I know. There's a lot of pictures to draw. So I'm just nitpicking because this is the review. So then she goes over here and she's like, all right, we've been instructed to blur the face of the accused in case a ruling of exile is reached. So I'm like, okay, they blur out the guy's face here, Riker, but they say his name. So if you know anyone named Riker, you'd be like, well, I wonder if that's the Riker that I know that just went missing or was arrested or something. Like, I haven't talked to him in a couple days. I wonder if that's him. I don't know how common Riker that name is in this world, but it doesn't matter because then the reporter says, Mr. Jones, did you kill your wife? So now we know his name is Riker Jones. And this might not be a shot of the news feed, but it just seems like it is because like the way it's framed, like we're seeing a shot of the news feed here. And then, now we're seeing where everyone's located and stuff so we could understand the layout. And then here, I just assume it's back to the news feed. Maybe it's not, but it appears so, and his face is not blurred. So The news is doing a really bad job. They've already said his first name, his last name, and then showed you his unblurred face. But this all could be part of the plan. So forgive me. Maybe the news is in on it. So now we go to the trial of Riker for the murder of his wife. And so this is a basic trial. He's saying he's not guilty. And then this was something I found odd. So he says the prosecution calls Michael Dean, CEO of Globe Industries. And then Michael, skip this, but Michael says, hello, my name is Michael Dean. I'm the CEO of Globe Industries. So within the space of like one panel, it's like the same piece of information, like repeated. And that happens somewhat often in the book where it's like just the same piece of information being repeated. I'm like, yeah, we already know that Sarah was missing or that whatever the Red Death thing was cured. Like, we know this. Like, just, you don't have to keep telling us. Like, movies do that, and I get it. Like, I don't know if that necessarily is exposition, but sometimes they kind of like, hey, let's repeat a plot point in case anyone didn't understand it. And I hate it when they do that. And it feels like belittling. Because I'm like, this is not that hard to understand, stories in general. We're following it. You don't have to constantly go, oh, remember this and let me explain why we are here now. Like, no one talks like that. So that happens sometimes. And then just things like that where it's like giving you the same information over and over. And then also this shot here, I feel like is just such a missed opportunity. So it says, let's call, Michael Dean to the stand. Mr. Dean, please take a seat and introduce yourself and your company. So like, let's just say I was watching a movie or something and you were like, okay, because comics aren't movies, but at the same time, these are frozen static images. So you would want to take like the most important, like key thing that would happen. Like if someone was walking up to the stand, what part of that would you want to take? Probably not the part where his back is turned. We see half of his body and he's like awkwardly like moving there. Like, I don't know why this was chosen as that. Actually, I wouldn't even want to see this period. I would think that since we're going to we've shown him before, but since we are kind of reintroducing him into this issue, like this is the introduction of him, like the back of his head. Like introductions, I feel like are very important. I feel like him in the not audience, whatever. I mean, I don't know the technical terms of the law court, but I'll say audience, the back, whatever, where people are sitting. If it showed him there and we saw his face, maybe a close up or something, maybe him in the shadows, maybe we see like part of his face and he looks sinister or something. If you want to make him look sinister, I feel like he should be because he appears to be a bad guy. But that to me is like an introduction. I'm like, oh, wow, this guy is not nice. He's going to have some not great things to say. He seems like a shadowy character. Like, and you kind of get to see his face and like, what is he thinking? Like, he just got called to the stand. How does he react? I want to see how that guy reacts. This is not a reaction shot. This is almost nothing. I just wanted to include it. Sorry to ramble about that, but I felt like that was important. So here they're like, let's call, the prosecution calls Michael to the stand. I mean, they do say, tell us about your company, the judge, but then this guy just like explains everything. The lawyer doesn't really do anything. He's just like, says this one sentence here, and then he's like, isn't it more complicated than that? And this guy just kind of like rambles. Like, there's really not much questioning there from the lawyer or prosecution. He just kind of explains everything with like the red cure or the Red Death and the cure and everything. Like, I don't even know if the law would care about any of that. This is the trial of Riker for murder. Like whatever all this is about might not have anything to do with it. And then the dude also just is like, we even have Sarah. Okay, so this is why they might have explained it, because they do have Sarah like taking out some of the antivirus or whatever. But this dude just says this and it appears on the screen. What kind of court is this? Like, was this new like evidence that was introduced? Is he just like, oh yeah, bring my own pictures whenever I go to court? So here they are. Here's incredible damning evidence. It's like, what? Where did that come from? And then here we go with, say, I said this earlier with Riker, how he's always just talking. He's like, this makes no sense. You allowed yourself to be caught on camera. Why would you steal something you're already working on? Why is he saying this? Like, he should be thinking it. There's no reason for this dude to like say these things out loud. Would the judge want to hear that? I mean, how loud is he saying this? Like, if people were talking, I'm just like, this makes no sense. Like, wait, so are you saying this to someone? I'm not quite certain. So it seems like the prosecution, so I'm going to jump ahead a second. So it seems like the prosecution kind of sits at a table and Riker is made to stand. Okay. I don't know if he's a lawyer or whatever. I mean, I know they're all trying to set him up. So you can always say, well, you know, they don't want him to win. So that's fine. So a lot of the pages here are like 4 panels, 3 to 4. I don't think there's 5. I mean, that one had a couple more. So then when we go from this page, because now from a scene point, I do think this was well written, because he initially does say he's not guilty. Then he finds out that Sarah was doing something and he's like, oh, okay, she had some plan or was doing something. So that was good. So there is a reason for him to come back and say that he's guilty. But I didn't like how this page suddenly goes to only have 2 panels. So now it's just suddenly 4 panels. Whereas everything else was, you know, all these are kind of like medium full shots, medium close possibly, you know, and now we go to like a very close. I don't know if that's extreme, but medium close up, like all of a sudden, like these two are like battling each other. When I turn this page, I was like, wait, what? Like they're both kind of like, and then he's just standing there in like only a 2-panel thing. And he's like, I did it. I killed her, but this wasn't dramatic to me because he was already standing the entire time. So I don't know why. I feel like, you know, a good drama piece is if he's mainly sitting the whole time and then he finally decides to stand and he's like, I did it. I killed her. Maybe that's not what you're going for. Maybe, you know, he's supposed to be remorseful, but nothing was dramatic about it to me. You know, I mean, he is sharing the space, half the page with the judge. I don't know why we are so close in on this judge, because he's condemning him. Which one of these is the more important thing here? Is him confessing or being ordered to exile? I feel like they should not have shared the same amount of space. Also, he seems really angry here, and then I guess that could happen. To be really angry and then confess and be remorseful, but I don't know. The flow of everything was with this pace. And it's not like we just turn the page and we go to one, maybe, you know, splash or something. It just has a new pace of these 4 large panels for some reason. And then, yeah, I guess this is Ghost or somebody. So she's like being worked on, rebuilt or something. So, I mean, there's a lot of players. and a lot of different plots happening. So I will continue to buy the book. I know I've just kind of maybe shat on it for a long time, but I really wasn't trying to because I enjoyed it. After all that, I did enjoy it, and I will continue to buy the series because I want to find out what happens. So the plot I like. I do want to continue to learn about these characters and, you know, who's setting Stryker or Michael. I'm confused. No, Michael was the CEO, I think, of the Globe place. So I would like to know what happens. So I will say that I recommend the book. It might not have sounded like it. I do feel bad as if I was too mean, but I do like it because I've read a lot of like indie type books and stuff, and this one is much better than most of them. Like some of the problems I had in the first issue where I was like, oh man, it's like kind of, panels like this and not very like descriptive or whatever. He fixed all that. So a lot of stuff I've seen didn't even look as good as this. And then he fixed all that. So that is why I'm recommending it. And still sounds bad. I was just trying to say that it is way better than most indie stuff. And I'd rather be reading something that someone is passionate about. Like I could tell that he's caring about this and thinking about it all, as opposed to just some corporation that is like, yeah, just put something out there. Whatever. We don't care. Yeah, you'll read it. I mean, we have top tier artists and writers, but when you read it, you're just like, none of these people want to do this. So I will end it there with the recommendation of Bye. Thank you for watching.
There you go. Now get your tail out of here before I kick some deer butt. You better run.